Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of an introduction to how to actually start editing your podcast down. You're obviously going to have quite a lot of material that you want to get rid of, and we can do that in Audition. You've used Premiere before, and essentially the editing process is quite similar. It's just that you don't have to worry about looking at video as well. So in that respect, it's actually pretty straightforward and maybe even a bit simpler than video editing. However, before you start making any cuts, there's a couple of things that it's really, really important to do. So, first one is naming your tracks. I need to know who is on which track. So you've got two or maybe three microphones. It's really, really important that I know who is who. So, in any changes I make, I know who I'm making them to. Now, the easiest way to do that is just to click on this solo icon. So that's an S for solo,
Into coaching.
and listen
But
back.
the way it's gone, I never planned where I am now.
And if I compare that to track two,
Okay, I've been to get into a
that
campaign.
voice is a lot quieter. So clearly, track one is this fella Danny. So I'm going to rename track one up here by double clicking on it and calling it Danny. And then track two appears to be Josh. And I've no idea what happened to George. I think I didn't manage to successfully nick that audio. Okay, so I now at least know who I'm dealing with. The second thing to do, though, and this is really important, before you do any editing, is to group your tracks. Because if you don't group your tracks, then you might end up making getting your tracks out of sync. So it can happen. So I managed to just move this one just off there a little bit somehow. And the problem I've now got is that if I play back,
To answer 15 questions about facts from previous clubs and teams that you've been associated with. This week I'll be asking the questions and Josh will be timing.
so everything is now out of sync, which is a nightmare, right? It's the last thing that we want. So in order to avoid that, if I click and draw and drag over both clips, and then right click and go to groups and group clips, those two clips are now acting together, staying together. And so if I move one, the other will move. And when I make my cuts, when I start getting rid of the stuff that I don't need, it's going to make the cut in the same place on both tracks all the time. So it's super important to name your tracks and to group them together.